This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Yes! Here we go. Follow the Money. Paulie Howard, Matt Human's big show coming up. Sirius XM Channel 158, downtown where it all goes down. Circa, baby. Having a good time. We'll talk to Paul Charchian, who's in town. He'll be in studio to talk fantasy, Vikings, NFL. He made a bunch of future bets. Jay Morrison on the madness in Cincinnati, trying to trade Trey Hendrickson. We'll talk Bengals. We'll talk Monday Night Football. And who knew? He's an Arby's fan. I can't wait to get into that as well. Do you concur? Win some, lose some, recap everything, and a great weekend of action with the UFC. Dominant performance by Chimaev. Good preseason action. Looking forward to week 3, plus college football is here, week 0. How you doing, Maui Matt?
Plus, we have a really good Monday Night Football game where we're going to see starting quarterbacks go head-to-head for at least a quarter tonight with Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. So, and I have a bet on this game tonight, so looking forward to that. Jay Morrison's going to be on from Cincinnati, you said, in the final hour, and he's an Arby's fan?
Yeah. In his bio. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to ask him about his opinion of Skyline Chili. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember when we had Peter King on the show a couple years ago? And he loves Skyline Chili.
You
right?
brought it up. I couldn't believe the reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, he loved it. Absolutely. It was gold. For the first time during training camp, Stafford practiced today. You got the reports over the weekend. They asked McVay, we're supposed to work out Saturday. He goes, I'll talk to you Monday. He'd been sidelined, careful, aggravated disc in his back, and he hadn't thrown in a couple weeks. But he was out there today. McVay said he did a good job, 26 plays, managing the huddle, saw the field, it went well, and with good competitive work on both sides today. Didn't share the plan for the rest of the week. We're going to keep it a day at a time, really a week at a time. It's a fluid situation. Better news for the Rams, but still, you got to be concerned with what's going on.
Oh, you got to be really concerned. I've got a bet on the Rams over 9.5. Bet the Rams to win the NFC. Bet the Rams at 30-1 to win the Super Bowl. That was actually the first futures play I made way back in March. And if Matthew Stafford's sidelined, that's going to be a tough deal for the Rams. Now, I still think they can win. I still think they could win the division, get over 9.5 if Stafford misses a number of games. With Jimmy G and Stetson Bennett, I think that team's good enough to win. But the ceiling's going to be lower in terms of what they can achieve in the postseason if Stafford is sidelined and the back injury becomes more of a problem. He's 37 years old, which is not that bad. I mean, he's getting up there. Aaron Rodgers is 41.
Yeah, I know, but this is a problem if it's because what's going to happen?
Back injuries can linger; they can be a big deal. And I definitely don't like reading this. I mean, that's the downside of betting a future like that. And then you find out in August, your quarterback's got a bad back; he might not be able to play, and that's a bummer. I did take some positives out of the story I read that Stafford, I think a week ago, made 65 throws in a practice session, and he was not limited by anything and felt okay the next day. So hopefully that's not going to be a big issue. But you definitely are pumping the brakes, or you're betting anti-Rams right now if you're looking to play the futures on that team.
When asked about his confidence level in Stafford being ready week 1 against the Texans, McVay, that would be putting the cart way before the horse. So I wouldn't even go there either.
Sounds like 50-50.
We're right around. We're getting close here. I know. Damn. Okay, so at least better news, but not all the way back. Also, the big news today, Stefanski named Flacco the starter week 1 against the Bengals. A couple weeks ago, he was $1.50 to be named the starter. He was a long shot months ago. So that quarterback room and carousel with all those guys that they have, and that motley crew, it's going to be Flacco, Bengals lane 5.5 on the road. So we have that news today.
You know, going way back, I'm going to say a couple months ago, I got a bet in a DraftKings. You know, we can't bet DK here in Nevada.
Got to drive.
So we have to find other means.
Go see Rudy Bear at go to A&W, yeah.
I took a pretty big number on Flacco to be the Browns starting quarterback at the time. It was 12-1 at one point.
Is that right?
And I got like 9-1. So
I didn't know that.
Right.
Right. Well, okay, just got to be out there now, right?
Well, when you're watching the preseason here the past couple, again, you could have bet a lot more on this the last couple of weeks. I felt like when you were watching what was developing in camp with the injuries, Kenny Pickett, hamstring, Dylan Gabriel, hamstring.
Yep.
Juror Sanders was not going to start. They were not going to start him in week 1. And Deshaun Watson's out, and Snoop Huntley is not going to start either.
Mm-hmm.
By default, Joe Flacco was going to win this job, just paying attention to what's going on in Browns camp.
Yeah.
There was a great bet to be made on this, even in the last week or two. I hate to say easy money, but that's what it was, Paul.
Good job.
Oh,
great.
I know other people who bet this and bet it pretty big in the last couple of weeks.
Well,
big being relative, because on a prop like that, you can only get down so much.
Well, we were talking about it a lot during the summer, and a couple of our guests said it's going to be Pickett. That Pickett would be the guy, and then, the injury happened, and then it's just been chaotic. So Flacco,
when that
by
odds
default,
board opened, Flacco was set way too his number was way too high.
Yes. So the hot dog stand continues in Cincinnati. They're in action tonight. More on that coming up. But the big news is they can't come to terms, and they're not close, and they're taking offers on Hendrickson. As Bill Barnwell from ESPN.com reported, well, this is his tweet rather, the last time we saw something like this where a guy 30, dominant, gets after the quarterback was traded, Chris Dolman, 1994 to the Atlanta Falcons for a first and I think a couple seconds there. So with contract talks at an impasse, they're listening to offers for the guy who led the league in sacks, 4-time Pro Bowler, and see what the asking price is, what they're going to want. I know Elliott Wolf, Patriots GM, said, "Yeah, damn right. If we can get a big-time player, we'll give up a first-round draft pick for this guy." But this is big news, and I know that the teams out there that would try to get him, but the question is, what's the asking price? What do they want? Will the team get this done?
Apparently the asking price for Trey Hendrickson is a young defensive player and a first-round pick next year. And, just depends what quality of young defensive player you're going to give up.
Or a couple. I read a couple. A couple players.
A couple players. Yes, it could be a couple players, but at least one. If the one young player is a stud, then that's probably just a one player and a first-round pick. If you're throwing a couple mid players and a first-round pick, it would be more than one guy. But, hey, look, Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in sacks last season, 17.5. The Bengals' pressure rate when he was on the field was about 35%, and when he was off the field, it was about 17%. All this is a bad defense with Hendrickson on the field.
Yes.
The Bengals have got to find a way to get something figured out here.
Yes. So let me go back, and I've read this a couple times, but now it's worth repeating considering the news. This is Warren Sharp's NFL Preview magazine. The Bengals last year were terrible defensively, despite playing the number one easiest schedule of quarterbacks: Brissett, Danny Dimes, Winston, Watson, DTR twice, Minshew, Ritter, Cooper Rush, Rudolph, Will Levis, Andy Dalton, Russell Wilson twice, and they still were that bad. The other thing is they lost, 7 games by 1 score? And what happened? And they could also say that's coaching and our guy Taylor, who can't get it done, and that was get off to a slow start. So everything you say, I echo your sentiments that you still had this guy, and you couldn't stop anybody, and those were the quarterbacks. And now you might trade him, and we'll see, well, you get the first-round pick, but that's not going to help you right now. And that's why I'm down on the Cincinnati Bengals this year.
Yeah, I am too. And in fact, I made a MVP bet on Joe Burrow at 7-1, and I don't like that bet anymore. I got buyer's remorse because I was talking with another VSiN contributor over the weekend, Aaron Moore, who made the same bet, I think maybe a month ago. And not only has Burrow to win MVP become way too popular with the betting public, but Paul, I think this Bengals defense is going to be so bad, it's going to be tough for this team to win enough games for him to be MVP.
Yeah.
And that's why actually betting Burrow to lead the league in passing yards at 5-1, to lead the league in passing touchdowns plus 550. Those are better bets because they're going to get in some shootouts.
Yep.
They're going to throw the ball. And he's got, by the way, probably the best set of receivers in the NFL. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, monster numbers, I think he's going to approach 5,000 yards and maybe 50 TD passes. Is that going to be enough to get the Bengals to the playoffs?
Yeah. 7 of their 8 losses were by 7 or fewer points. You can point to the defense and also Taylor and also the other coaching. Well, how about Al Golden coming in? Lou was a disaster last year, too.
Al Golden's going to help, but like you said, Zach Taylor is not a very good clock and game manager. Mm-hmm. And in the NFL, where the margin for error is very slim, you can't afford to make those game management mistakes like that. He probably cost him a couple games last season.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't lose that game against New England as well. Game 1 of a doubleheader. This is a 5-game series. Freddie Peralta Awesome. 3-0 Brewers, top of the 7th. That was Peralta against Horton, who's been so good. There was an error that led to a run. There was a home run as well. What can you say about the Brewers? They finally lost a game, but this run that they've had, and now minus $8 for most wins in August. I can't believe what this team's doing, and the Cardiac Kids and what they did Friday, down 8-1 how about that bet? First 5 beat 8-1 in the second. They win the game 10-8. Now it's 3-0 Milwaukee in the top of the 7th as well. The clock's ticking. Week 0, college football coming up this weekend. NFL just weeks away. Now's the time to get VSiN Pro. Lock in your edge. New subscribers get instant access to both our college football and NFL betting guides, loaded with team previews, power ratings, betting systems, and the best bets from our top analysts. And that's just the start. The morning email from Bill 80. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits, the market insights, the betting systems from Mackinnon, the prop analyzer, the dog videos, the tools, the data, the pro systems. Come on, folks. $9.99 or save 50% off with the annual plan. VSiN.com/subscribe. VSiN.com/subscribe. Zach Wheeler had surgery, blood clot in his arm, no timetable. Tough news there for the Phillies, but again, I got to know what the timetable is about this, the uncertainty that this guy just had surgery as well.
That's going to be a setback for the Phillies. Obviously, they just want to get him healthy for end of September, October.
Yep.
At this point, how about the Brewers? As hot as they've been, 14-1 the last 15?
Right. Yeah.
You could have had plus 105 on Freddie Peralta at game time.
Incredible. We do, as Matt's right. We have Monday Night Football with a line move and a big move on the total. In the modern-day Marv Levy, a coach in this game tonight is 2-15 straight up in the preseason. That's next.
Got a good thing coming, so wait and see. It's a good.
$14.2 million starts right now.
We've waited. It's now here.
Record-breaking signups, $14.2 million. Also record-breaking chaos.
The number 1 team goes down in week 1.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, obviously, this game was supposed to be Bengals blowout. No!
I'm done. The dream of going back-to-back is over.
Come on, baby!
Nobody could see this one coming. No way the number 1 pick goes down in week number 2, but it did.
This has been the craziest year that I've ever seen.
By week 4, 75% of the entries are gone.
This is a tough competition, and it is not for the faint at heart.
Within 5 weeks, we'd lost 97% of the entries.
You can feel the tension like a hot knife through butter.
How many survivors will make it to even mid-season?
All episodes available now at VSiN.com/survivor.
Responsible sports betting starts with a game plan. That means stick to a budget. Keep it social by playing with friends. Learn the game and know the odds. Play with trusted legal operators. And if you need help, reach out. If you're getting in on the action, visit haveagameplan.org to learn more.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Freddie Peralta has only allowed one hit through 6, 3-0 Brewers, 2 outs, top of the 7th. He's been on fire today. And,
you know who's not on fire? The Cubs. They've been backpedaling. And how about Michael Tucker, Pete Crow Alexander? These guys have really, I would say, got stuck in a funk here, Paulie.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so Monday Night Football tonight. Bengals are 4-43 against Washington. The coach I'm talking about is Dan Quinn. He's on a 2-15 straight-up run in the preseason. As my guy Teddy Covers said, he is the modern-day Marv Levy. When Marv was with the Bills, he didn't care. They'd go 0-4 every preseason. Didn't want to play anybody. Didn't care about the results. 0-4 straight-up run in Atlanta. Another 0-4 straight-up run in Atlanta. Then a 1-4, and then a 1-2 last year. And they got blown out last week by the Patriots. Ton of penalties, yards, all New England. And his 2 wins have been in garbage time when it's been the week last year, week 3 win, and a couple of years ago, week 4 win. And 1 year we didn't have it because of COVID. So this guy has become the modern-day Marv Levy. Doesn't care. And you also have this news. Robinson will not play tonight. It's a mutual decision between Robinson and the team as a trade before the cut to the 50-man roster remains a possibility. That's from NFL Network. So, Taylor coming out. He's not much better. He's on a 3-13-1 run straight up in the preseason. But I'm going to at least get the guys out there for a couple series because we always get off to a slow start. And guess what happens last week? Well, Burrow moves the ball. They look good, but they give up 34 points. And McKee was the star of the preseason. They couldn't get stops again with this horrible defense. So what say you tonight, which I got to take the Bengals because Dan Quinn doesn't care, and it's just, okay, maybe starters for a series or 2, and I think the Bengals can get to them in the second half as well.
Well, I read the Washington Commanders practice report last night. Apparently Dan Quinn said he's going to leave the starters out there for at least a quarter, pretty much the same amount of time the Bengals are going to play Joe Burrow and their starters. Quinn was pretty upset, apparently, by the way the Commanders played last week. They got bombed by the Patriots 48-18, and he wants his guys to get out there and show something tonight. I took the dog here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
What? Look.
Well,
first of all, the Bengals' number 1 defense stinks.
Yep.
And then they're going to be playing backups in the second half. If Jaden Daniels is playing more than a quarter, just like Joe Burrow is, why not take the points with the dog? That's what I did tonight because the backup defense for Washington is going to be better than what Cincinnati's going to put on the field. Now, if Burrow and Chase go out and light it up in the first quarter, and Jaden Daniels does not, then you're probably going to lose that bet. But I'll take my chances here with the home dog tonight. Considering Dan Quinn says he's going to play his starters, number 1 offense more than a quarter or at least a quarter.
Okay. I think Cincinnati was a smaller favorite, 2.5, something like that in the first half as well. Penalties, Washington 13, New England 2. Last week, Quinn, all 3 phases, sloppy. It showed practice was the opposite. That didn't make me happy. Of the last 17 preseason games, his team has scored 14 or less, 14 or fewer, 12 times. Unbelievable. So these are horrendous numbers with Quinn here in the preseason, and it's great that we have Monday Night Football. And again, a big move on the total, which didn't really work out for the bettors because they were bombing all these totals after the 14-2 start. Actually, both games Friday went over. But I have unders now 22-9 through the first 2 weeks of the preseason. Week 2 preseason, 8-7 ATS, and comes down to tonight. So we didn't see a lot of overs, even though it started 2-0, and it kind of came down to reality after what happened Saturday with some of these games.
Yeah, I didn't play many totals. I thought we were going to see a regression with all the overs you had in week 1 and a little bit of that in week 2 of the preseason. But, it started off really well on Friday night with the Seahawks and basically an 8.5-point move.
How about that?
Seattle,
and no problem.
+3 went off -5.5 and got there no problem, 33-16. I've pretty much I've watched most of the preseason games from the weekend. I took a bunch of notes on things that happened, but the Seahawks running attack I thought was pretty impressive. Zach Charbonnet, former UCLA star, looked good in that game. I'm telling you, the KC defense has still got some problems.
Sure.
KC defense has got problems against the run, and the Seahawks were able to expose a little bit of that on a Friday night game. Well, you could say it's preseason. You can't make too much of it, and that's true. Keep an eye on this Kansas City defense.
I thought the Giants looked great again, especially Dart. Now, Wilson, I don't know if you had Giants first half, Modon. Oh, said a vicious beat. The miscommunication, the interception, and then Dart comes in and lights it up again. And you have to love that Giants quarterback room for the preseason. But the hype is real. And I tell you, the kid looks awesome. And I have changed. I'm with Mitch. I've done a 180 on this team. Yeah. I'm not going to say, wow, they're going to win 8 games or whatever. But I can't take the under the win total anymore. Just how good they look. And I think Dart's going to be in there. Well, I'll get to that coming up. But I just think this team has talent.
I do, too. I've been saying this since the draft, and on VSiN.com, I wrote something after the draft about how I think the Giants were going to be underrated, and the betting public's piling on the bandwagon here. Everybody, I've heard even a lot of sharp bettors can't go to the app or the window fast enough to bet under 5.5 wins on this team. Now, if you look at the schedule, I understand where all that talk's coming from. The schedule's absolutely brutal.
True, yeah.
But they're not going to lose. Giants are not going to lose every game they're underdogs in. In fact, they might go to Washington in week 1 and beat the Commanders.
And I would not take Washington in Survivor. Absolutely.
I'm still high on Brian Dable as a coach. Look what he did with Josh Allen when he developed him as quarterback in Buffalo. And I was one of the biggest proponents of Jackson Dart the whole time. I know Joe Sorallo, who's a Giants fan who works here at the network, was trashing the Dart pick. I was like, you haven't watched enough film of this guy. You haven't watched him play enough. He's the real deal. He deserved to be a first-round pick. I actually thought he was a little bit underdrafted. Dart's probably going to get his shot at some point in the middle of the season, but Russell Wilson can still get it done. I thought he looked good over the weekend. And, hey, by the way, if you want to bet under on a New York team, bet the Jets under.
How about that passing attack? Yes.
Justin Fields.
Oh, is that bad?
Fields has all sorts of problems in the passing game. He has trouble hitting wide-open receivers 10 yards away.
Yep.
If you want to play a New York team under, bet the Jets under 6.5.
Good call. That was my other takeaway, how bad the passing attack looked as well. How about the standalone game? What'd you think of 49ers Raiders?
That
and
was
Genty with the big run. Genty, I've arrived.
That was a late game, fourth quarter fiasco for the Raiders. Once again, it's the same old, what?
Yep.
First of all, you can't, when it's a tie game inside 5 minutes or around 5-minute mark, you cannot settle for a field goal and then drop into soft coverage on defense. That's how you lose games, right? The Raiders doing the same old crap. Mm-hmm. You've got now Cam Miller's in a quarterback. You got to find a way to get that ball into the end zone against a third-team defense with a bunch of key guys that are off the field for the 49ers. The Raiders settle for a field goal, drop into soft coverage, let the Niners drive down, tie the game, and then win it on a bomb field goal at the buzzer. Mm-hmm. You can tell I had the Raiders on the money line there at minus 180. Brutal way to lose that one.
That's bad.
If Pete Carroll's going to manage games like that in the regular season, it's going to be a long season for the Raiders. I hate field goals, especially in that sort of situation.
Well, you need all of them for the overtime.
Compound the problem, Paul. You drop into soft coverage, you just let them march right down the field. You cannot do that.
Yep. 38.5 up to 41.5. Hope you got the best number there. And that falls 41 with the field goal at the gun. How about the Bears? Caleb Williams at least looked like an NFL quarterback. Bam, get it out. No dancing, no ad-libbing.
Yeah.
Throw the ball. That was great. And that was a big taking a knee there at the 5-yard line with 2 minutes left. 38-0 Chicago.
Kind of a tough beat for somebody there. I believe had I saw on Twitter today somebody had a bet paid off 30-1 odds for the Bears to score 43 or more points.
Oh, really?
And they took a knee, ran out the clock, which was the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The key thing to take away from that game is, hey, Ben Johnson's still got a lot of work to do with Caleb Williams, but he looked better.
Yeah.
He was playing within the offense, within the script. This is an impromptu quarterback. He's kind of like a wild horse, and you got to find a way to put a saddle on him, right?
Well said.
And Ben Johnson's trying to do that. There's going to be some highs and lows. They look better, but what I also took away from this game was the Buffalo backups are bad. Buffalo needs to improve that roster, and this Buffalo defense was really bad against the pass a year ago, and that's still a big problem. If you're betting the Bills to win the AFC, that pass defense is still the biggest problem that the Bills are facing, and that has not been fixed whatsoever.
Yeah, McDermott not happy. Went after him after the game. That total opened 36.5 and closed 41. So big decision there to take the knee as well. We'll get to baseball in half an hour. Good card tonight. As I mentioned, we have the doubleheader at Wrigley Field. And see how the Padres regroup after getting swept in L.A. We got Do You Concur? We'll talk more about the Monday night game and all the NFL news as well. All that coming up. And it'll be a fun show as well. Paul Charchian in the studio up next. He's on usually every Thursday during the football season. He's in town. A little more on the Minnesota Vikings, more on J.J. McCarthy, and all the fantasy talk. What to do with your drafts, who's going where, sleepers, how he moved the market with the Mason prop that he gave out last time. Looking forward to this. Paul Charchian coming up. Follow the money. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158.
This season with VSiN's College Football Betting Guide, exclusive to VSiN Pro subscribers. It's packed with 136 team previews, preseason top 25 rankings, and best bets from our experts. Pro subscribers also get the NFL Betting Guide, daily best bet emails, exclusive splits, and full access to our premium betting tools. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe for just $9.99 for your first 30 days. Or save 50% with an annual Pro subscription and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Paulie Howard, Matt Humans, Mitch on vacation all week. Paul Charchian, GuillotineLeagues.com. Friend of the show for a long, long time. Joins us. He's usually on every Thursday during the football season, but he's in town hanging out at Cirque, and we're going to go rapid fire here in the NFL, futures, and also a lot of fantasy advice. Good to see you, my friend. And the last time we talked, Jordan Mason, most touchdowns on air, moved from 400 to 80 to 1.
Yes, you and I, Mitch, had been talking about Jordan Mason to lead the NFL in touchdowns, but there wasn't a line. We waited a couple of months. Line finally pops up.
Yeah.
And we start talking about him and rationalizing how he can get to 12, 14, 16 touchdowns in the Minnesota offense. And Jordan Mason's line during our segment moved 400 to 1 to 80 to 1. And that is the power of VSiN and this show. Yeah. That happens. So you got to act fast sometimes on some of these touts. Yeah. And I think that's still a good one. And my favorite sleeper fantasy play remains Mason Jordan because of the touchdown upside he's going to bring.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And I love your source on that too.
Yeah, my source was Aaron Jones, who personally told me he's going to give up the goal line use and the short yardage work to Jordan Mason. So if it doesn't work out, don't blame me.
Yes.
Go take it up with Aaron Jones.
So Paul Allen was on Friday, voice of the Vikings, K-Fan Radio. I interned on his show in like 1999.
Amazing.
It was incredible. What a story. But he didn't do it justice. Kevin O'Connell being mic'd up for an entire quarter. And you said they did this with Jefferson. Can you take us through just how confident you must be in an organization and a coaching standpoint to do this? And I know there were several tweets because they played the Patriots. New England media was watching the game like, this is unbelievable what this guy's doing. He's going to tell you what they're going to run, how it's designed, why it works, why it didn't work, who's supposed to block who.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This is the second year that they've now done this with the Minnesota Vikings pregames, and they do it two different ways. First, know this, Kevin O'Connell, for each of the pregame shows, hands off play calling duties to an assistant for one quarter. And that's pivotal because, the assistants love it, right? So you're the offensive coordinator, you're defensive coach. You get a chance to get some play calling experience, even if it's just in a preseason game. And what that does is it frees up Kevin O'Connell for one quarter where he can just be open mic, riffing and talking to us, the viewers, as the game is happening. And that happened in this last Saturday's game. And you get to hear about the play that's coming, and you get to hear his reactions to it in real time. Now, he did accidentally drop one F-bomb on the air, and that part's unfortunate, and hopefully that will not stop him from doing this again. But they also do it with Justin Jefferson. Did it last year with Jefferson too. I mean, think about this. Matt and Paulie, you have a superstar wide receiver, and you have him mic'd up continuously for an entire quarter of a game, reacting to everything that's happening. But Jefferson is such a good dude, and he's so trustworthy, and he understands these moments that Jefferson's able to do nothing but bring joy to these preseason games in a way that you can't get otherwise. He's running up and down the sidelines, and he's cheering for his guys, and it's just Jefferson's just really a special guy. Kevin O'Connell too. No other coaches are going to do this stuff, I don't think.
It's hard to find a superstar wide receiver who's a good dude because most are divas, right? And they're, like you said, they're going to cross the line. All right, so I love this Vikings team, actually, especially defensively. There's a lot to like about it, and Kevin O'Connell being one.
Yes.
Former San Diego State quarterback, by the way.
Yeah.
What can he do with J.J. McCarthy? Can he do something similar that he did last year with Sam Darnold? Because a lot of people look at this team and say, well, I don't know about J.J.
Man, give him the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, what's Kevin O'Connell ever done wrong, right? He took Kirk Cousins to an entirely different level of his career, took Sam Darnold from being widely considered one of the biggest busts of all time into a spot where I think he finished second in comeback player of the year. And then even when Kirk went down, he was able to milk good play out of the Pastronaut, Josh Dobbs, and be able to get Nick Mullins on the field, right?
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy.
Nick Mullins threw for 400 yards twice.
Yes, exactly. I mean, what he can do with quarterbacks is special. And they bulked up this offensive line. He's still got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison once the suspension ends, T.J. Hawkinson, Aaron Jones catching out of the backfield, surrounded by talent. I just think people that have punished the Vikings win total based on the question marks around J.J. McCarthy aren't looking at the probability of success that McCarthy is looking at here. through training camp and preseason, McCarthy's looked mostly pretty darn good, and the arm way better than people I think give him credit for.
How about the defense?
Defense the Minnesota defense could lead the league in disruptive plays. I mean, this is a team that led the league in blitz percentage anyway, and now you bring in Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen to an already explosive defensive line. You know, this team is going to blitz like crazy, and Brian Flores does so many exotic things with this Vikings defense, pre-snap, after snap. This team is just going to go for disruptive plays all the time. They'll get burned sometimes, but they could lead the NFL in sacks, and I would not be surprised.
I like to hear you say that because when I look at this Week 1 matchup between Minnesota and Chicago, I think this Vikings defense is going to give Caleb Williams a lot of problems. What do you expect?
Week 1's not that far away, so already
right.
starting to look at the machinations of that. If you believe, like I do, that this Bears process with Ben Johnson, it's such a total rebuild. The roster is very different. His scheme is completely different. I think it takes time for Ben Johnson to right the ship. 1 week is not enough time. And, the Vikings come in with a lot of the same coaching staff, same schemes. Yes, J.J. McCarthy's different, but I see Caleb Williams likely struggling against a Vikings defense that's already faced him. And I think the Bears could be off to a slow start to get everything started. And facing the Vikings and all the exotic looks that Brian Flores brings, that is a big, big ask for Caleb Williams in his first game in this new offense.
So, buddy Paul Charchian in studio, guillotineleagues.com. Follow the money. Sirius XM channel 158. Paulie and Matt Humans. What do we do with Tyreek Hill in fantasy?
We're fading Tyreek Hill, and I know you're probably thinking, well, where was this last year? But here's the funny thing about Tyreek Hill. He was going off the board as a top 10 wide receiver last year. Ended up finishing as wide receiver 33 in fantasy football. So where's he going this year? Well, he's back up to wide receiver 13. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, why is everybody putting him right back up near where he was last year when he's 31 years old? There are so many question marks on this Dolphins team. Offensive line looks like garbage. Tua's every game threat to miss half a season.
Yep.
And there are apologists that are like, well, okay, he was wide receiver 33 last year, but Tua missed all those games. Now, let me throw some stats at you. Tua played 12 games last year. That's a pretty long, it's still more over half the season. Tyreek had 2 top 10 wide receiver finishes in those 12 games with Tua. He had 5 finishes as wide receiver 30 or worse with Tua. So even having Tua on the field doesn't automatically guarantee success. And here he is, 31 years old. Oh, and those big plays. We think of Tyreek Hill. You're thinking of those long passes, and he gets the ball, makes a guy miss, and he sprints to the end zone. Get this. His explosive plays dried up. Last year, in yards after the catch, he ranked 35th among wide receivers for Tyreek Hill. Maybe he's got one more good year left in him, but I'm not betting that. I'm out on Tyreek Hill anywhere near where he's being drafted.
Very good.
Now.
Very good. Who are you high on? If you want to say sleeper or not.
I'm high on Chase Brown. And I know Mitch has talked about him a lot.
Yeah.
He is a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. He was originally, when the line hit, like March, April, I think he was sitting around 50-1. Now he's around 22-1. I don't like that nearly as much for Chase Brown. But what I love about Chase Brown, second half of the season, they started throwing the ball to him. In points per reception fantasy leagues, from the middle of the season forward, he was the second highest scoring running back. What's going to happen for Chase Brown, potentially sitting on 2,000 total yards. He could easily come in 1,400, 1,500 rushing yards as the bell cow in a top 5 offense. And then you throw in 600 receiving yards on top of that. And now we've got somebody who is a fantasy goldmine. By the way, going off the board right now, roughly running back 11 or 12 in fantasy drafts. He's my running back 5.
Really?
Chase Brown. Love him here. And just keep it in your back pocket that he does have 2,000-yard upside.
How about the Cincinnati offense as a whole? A lot of those guys are going to be putting up big numbers. I like Chase Brown, too.
Yeah, I do, too. And here's part of the beauty of that offense.
How do you draft Joe Burrow in fantasy because quarterbacks are not obviously the most important?
Well, here's where Burrow is really tricky. Why I haven't drafted him in any leagues. And he's great, right? And his defense is terrible. He's going to have to pass all the time.
Sure.
The reason I don't draft him in fantasy is there's big 4 dual threat rushing, passing quarterbacks, the 4 of them. Then you get to Joe Burrow, who's going 5. But Burrow doesn't have any rushing upside, right? And that rushing upside means for the explosive runners like Lamar Jackson and the 3 others,
touchdowns.
It's rushing touchdowns, it's rushing yards, and even when the passing game doesn't come together, they save you with their rushing numbers. Burrow doesn't have that advantage. Last year, I believe 41 passing touchdowns. Well, Jared Goff, going 8 rounds later, had 37.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. More with Charch up next. More fantasy talk, sleepers, disappointments, and he made a bunch of futures that Circa he'll go over coming up next on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons, it's more than a pool day. Stadium Swim is the only thing like it in the world.
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Game one of a doubleheader, bottom of the eighth, 7-0 Brewers over the Cubbies, and Leeds just scored to take a 1-0 lead over Everton in the 85th minute. Rolling on with Paul Charchian, our buddy, GuillotineLeagues.com, talking fantasy, talking props, talking futures.
Fast food, too, during the break.
Oh, yeah, during the break.
Yeah.
Smashburger, underrated. Culver's is a Midwest deal, right?
Yeah.
So they're from Wisconsin. I'm from Minnesota originally. And so we've been enjoying Culver's for a long time. The thing with Culver's, to me, it's less about the burger. It's just that they have such a diverse menu. For a burger place, you can get a dozen different things. You could go there every day for 2 weeks and never have anything like what you just had. I like that.
Well said.
You always give good advice.
So you say Smashburger is a sleeper on your list?
It is.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. It's the thin patties, right? So you get the double because you want to get the extra meat. But their seasoning on the burger, outstanding, and get the egg on top. It's Smashburger. And the other thing is they lean into the thin, crispy fries. For those of us that love crispy fries, they've got one of the thinnest ones around. And I love that they just have leaned into it. And they're like, we're a crispy fry place. Oh, it's delicious.
Great breakdown.
Yeah, phenomenal. I like this too. You said this. If you're going to do your draft in person, this is once a year. Yes. Get the guys together. Stay in touch. I thought that was great advice you gave out last year. Do the thing in person. Get together.
Yes, fly into town for it.
Yes.
I moved to Southern Utah this year. I'm flying home for my home league draft back to Minnesota. Go fly for it. Jump on a plane. See everybody face to face. You're not going to see them during the football season as much. Go do it in person and make it as special as it always was. It's just not. It's not the same on your computer looking at the countdown on your countdown clock.
I'm curious. For a guy like you, how many different leagues do you play in during the season? How much money is up for grabs in the leagues total in the leagues you play in?
I'm in about around 10 guillotine leagues just by themselves that I care about. I do some mock stuff and expert ones that I do in the preseason that I don't actually play through. And then I'm in about another dozen or so that I care about, regular, normal leagues of varying shapes and sizes, redraft league, empire leagues, dynasty leagues. So too many. See, the problem with having 20, I'm not the guy out there like offering up trades and everything. So I don't have time for that. I need to be, here's what I need. I need to be incarcerated with internet access. I need the kind of time you can only get when you're in jail, but I also want the internet access if it's not too much trouble. Got to sneak in a phone.
Yeah. Let's go over some futures. Defend yourself. JSN over.
Yeah. JSN's number right now is 975 yards, which is weird. As a sophomore last year, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 1,100 yards. Now, no team has more vacated targets than Seattle does. They lost J.K. Metcalf. They lost Tyler Lockett. The numbers were almost 300 vacated targets. They have so many passes they have to send to their young star receiver that I don't see any way that he doesn't equal last year's number aside from injury. The only guy that they added was the undead corpse of Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp can't even hardly get on the field because he plays slot just like Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's not even a threat. So, love the over on Jackson Smith and Jigba, 975 yards.
All right, back to your buddy Chase Brown. Couple bets here.
Over 900 rushing yards. He had 1,100 last year. What are we even doing here? I just told you I think he's sitting on 2,000 total yards and 1,400 of them are going to be on the ground. So it's a minus 140 to go over the 900 yards. So you got to pay a little juice on that. But still, barring injury, he'll sail right over that as the lead workhorse back on a top 5 offense.
And Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year also in play. It's 22-1 right now for Chase Brown, which I don't love that number, but it's still actionable.
Kyron Williams over 1,000 rushing yards, $1.10.
1,300 yards last year for Kyron Williams. And if you had any doubt about what his role was going to be in this new Rams offense, they just re-signed him for another 3 years. This is a team that uses a workhorse back, and he's that guy. And also, Kyron Williams is a pretty good back. Is he Saquon Barkley? No. But he's a B-plus back who fits that system perfectly. And there's nobody else on roster that's going to steal material work away from Kyron Williams. We're also taking the over on the 1,000 yards for Kyron Williams.
Very good. I've been a big Kyron Williams fan for a long time. I like all the bets you've mentioned so far. This one I don't like as much, but sell us on it. Bryce Young over 3,175 passing yards. And if you watch the Panthers in the preseason over the weekend,
Didn't that look
it's
good?
a bit of a tough sell.
Yeah, it was.
Well, Bryce Young looked great, to be clear. As a team, they didn't as much.
Yeah.
It's all about the line. 31.75 is nothing. Bryce Young's got the second smallest total of every quarterback on the board. Only Justin Fields has got a lower total. I mean, 31.75 is nothing in today's NFL. Bryce Young, through the second half of last year, on average, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, he was averaging right around 240 passing yards per game. It would put him at over 4,000 yards. If you liked what you saw in the second half, that Dave Canales offense, last year, he's going to be even better this year, second year into this system. They added Ted McMillan, who looks like he's going to be fantastic. Yep. They're so deep at wide receiver, the Panthers, that whoever they have to cut as their sixth wide receiver is going to get snatched up. It might be Joe Horn Jr.'s kid. This is weirdly, you don't think of the Panthers as being deep at wide receiver, but they are. This is going to be a good passing offense, deep set of receivers, and I loved what we saw from Bryce Young last year. And for what it's worth, the preseason game where he played like one drive looked spectacular.
Well, over the weekend, I think he was 0 for 2. But he only played 2 series.
I think you're
talking about week 1.
I might be thinking week 1.
You're thinking
right.
week 1.
I may be thinking of week 1.
Week 2, their offense looked brutal, but it was only 2 series. And I couldn't figure out why Canales didn't put him out there for a third series. I just watched the tape of it last night. It was ugly, but that's just one preseason game. Yeah. If you're buying into what you saw from Bryce Young in the last half of last season, you like that bet quite a bit. I want to ask you about a really intriguing player. We got a question here on Twitter, and I thought it was a good one. What do you do with Travis Hunter?
Travis Hunter. First, if you like the game of football, draft Travis Hunter because he's going to be a blast. We're going to have so much fun with him. What he did in college, he is fearless with the ball across the middle in traffic because he's used to playing defense. Being in traffic doesn't faze him at all. And I love that part of his game. The real legitimate worry is he going to break down? Either because he's playing enough on defense that's just going to add to the chance of injury risk, or is it just going to be because the total number of times that he's involved in plays, whatever, take more hits. I can understand that hesitation, but he's going to be a blast. We're going to have so much fun with him. And I love the coupling with Brian Thomas. So you got Brian Thomas, your big-bodied go-up-and-get-it receiver. Then you have Hunter streaking through the middle of the field, so special after the catch. And really, this offense, if you believe it, especially if you believe in Tank Bigsby like I do, I love Tank Bigsby, one of my favorite sleepers. If you think Tank Bigsby is going to add something to the running game that we haven't gotten out of Travis Etienne the last few years, this turns into a really good offense. Jaguars are in play for the most improved offense in the NFL this year.
Okay. Tell us about Guillotine Leagues.
GuillotineLeagues.com, 3 different ways to play. It's the most fun way to play season-long fantasy football. No head-to-head matchups. Instead, every week, the lowest scoring team gets chopped from the league forever. Their players go to the waiver wire, and the rest of us bid on those players and create superstar rosters for the full season. By Thanksgiving, you've got amazing, amazing rosters. All you have to do is not finish last. So totally different way to play the game. Just playing to not finish last in any given week. It's a ton of fun. GuillotineLeagues.com. Play for free with your friends. Play for free against strangers if you prefer, or play for cash prizes if your state allows.
You have a recommendation for TV?
The Mortician. Really, really good, Paulie.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Did you like it that much?
I really enjoyed it. I've just recommended it to my friends.
3 episodes.
3 episodes. Documentary of a true story of a 1980s mortician who did some bad stuff. And I don't want to say much more about it, but because it's all true, the whole thing starts.
No. Well, how about what he texted me? Boy, I didn't know what I was getting into. It's called The Mortician.
What I didn't know that it was a documentary. The whole thing starts with him being released from jail recently because he's been in jail, this mortician, for a while.
Yeah.
And then you get to learn about all the crimes. Oh man.
He was going to confess to murder at the end. I can't.
Spoiler alert.
No, it'd be all right. I can't believe that. He thought it was
really well done. Really.
Like the Jinx. Yeah. VSiN's exclusive betting splits cut through the noise, pulling real-time data straight from Circa and DraftKings. Track the percentage of bets and handle on every game across every major sport. You can make sharper, more informed bets. Start your edge today, $9.99, VSiN.com. VSiN.com/subscribe. Get it now. You all love it. $9.99. VSiN.com/subscribe.
How about Joe Flacco? You buying Joe Flacco?
Love Joe Flacco. Nothing not to like about his game. Could easily end up leading the league in touchdown passes this year. Defense is going to be bad. They're going to have to pass a lot to, but as we mentioned earlier, he doesn't run. And so, Drake May end up outscoring him because Drake May is going to run for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. So from a fantasy standpoint, it doesn't always make sense to draft him where he's going.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Paulie.
You're the best. You'll be his regular Thursday spot once we get going. MLB schedule breakdown coming up next. This team has beat their opponent 10 in a row. Coming up.